Crumbly. Easily breaking into small pieces or fragments. Brittle. Fragile. Friable. Powdery. Can you describe an experience where you handled something crumbly? Yes, I remember baking cookies that were too crumbly. They broke apart as soon as I picked them up, which made them both frustrating and fun to eat. Flaky. Tending to break or separate into thin layers. Crusty. Peeling. Delicate. Shedding. What is a dish that often has a flaky texture, and do you enjoy it? A good example is croissants, which are known for their flaky texture. I absolutely enjoy them, especially when they're fresh and buttery. Mushy. Soft, spongy, and often overly moist. Squishy. Soggy. Gushy. Soft. Do you prefer mushy fruits like bananas, or do you avoid them? I usually avoid mushy bananas as I prefer firmer ones, but when they get overripe, I use them for baking delicious banana bread. Pulpy. Full of soft, moist mass, often fibrous. Squashy. Juicy. Fibrous. Pithy. Have you ever tried a fruit that was very pulpy? Absolutely. Mangoes are one of my favorites, and their pulpy texture makes them perfect for juices and smoothies. Rubbery. Having an elastic, chewy texture. Elastic. Springy. Resilient. Chewy. Is rubbery texture in food something you like, or do you find it unpleasant? I usually find rubbery texture unpleasant, especially in overcooked calamari, as it becomes too chewy to enjoy. Corrugated. Shaped into parallel ridges and grooves. Grooved. Ribbed. Furrowed. Ridged. Can you think of an object that is often corrugated in design? A common example would be corrugated cardboard, which is widely used in packaging because of its durability and lightweight nature. Lumpy. Full of or covered with irregular, uneven shapes. Bumpy. Knobby. Uneven. Coarse. How do you deal with lumpy textures in food, like lumpy soup or sauce? When faced with lumpy textures, I typically use a blender or strainer to smooth it out, especially if I'm preparing a cream-based soup. Rigid. Stiff, inflexible, and not easily bent or altered. Stiff. Firm. Inflexible. Unyielding. Do you believe rigid rules are necessary in education? To some extent, yes. Rigid rules provide structure and discipline, but there should also be flexibility to encourage creativity and independent thought. Gooey. Soft and sticky. Viscous. Sticky. Adhesive. Tacky. Can you describe a food that has a gooey texture? One of the gooey foods I really enjoy is melted marshmallows in s'mores. The way they stretch and stick adds to the fun of eating them. Satiny. Smooth and glossy, resembling satin. Silky. Sleek. Lustrous. Shiny. How would you describe something satiny you've owned or seen? I once bought a satiny dress for an event. It was so smooth and shiny that it made me feel elegant and confident. Wiry. Thin but strong and flexible. Stringy. Sinewy. Tough. Fibrous. What kind of wiry materials are commonly used in everyday life? Copper wire is a good example of something wiry. It's strong yet flexible, making it perfect for electrical applications. Jagged. Having sharp, irregular edges or points. Serrated. Pointed. Ragged. Uneven. Have you ever encountered a jagged object, and what was your experience? Yes, I once accidentally touched a jagged piece of broken glass, and it taught me to be extra cautious around sharp objects. Pliable. Easily bent or shaped without breaking. Flexible. Malleable. Supple. Elastic. Why do you think pliable materials are useful in design? Pliable materials like rubber are incredibly versatile, as they can be shaped and adjusted, making them essential for products like tires and tools. Brittle. Hard but easily broken or cracked. Fragile. Crumbly. Breakable. Friable. How do you ensure brittle objects are stored safely? When storing brittle objects like ceramic plates, I use padded containers to prevent any impact that might cause them to crack. Gritty. Containing or resembling small particles of sand or grit. Sandy. Coarse. Granular. Rough. Have you ever tasted something gritty, and how did you feel about it? Yes, I once had gritty spinach that wasn't washed properly, and it was quite unpleasant because the texture was very rough on the teeth. Sleek. Smooth, glossy, and elegant in appearance. Polished. Shiny. Trim. Streamlined. Would you say a sleek design is more appealing than a bulky one? I think sleek designs are more appealing because they often look modern and sophisticated, which is perfect for things like smartphones and cars. Grooved. Having parallel ridges or furrows. Ribbed. Furrowed. Corrugated. Channeled. Can you name something grooved that is commonly used, and why it's useful? Grooved tires are a great example. The ridges provide better grip on roads, especially in wet conditions, ensuring safety while driving. Malleable. Easily shaped or bent, typically referring to metals. Pliable. Ductile. Flexible. Moldable. Why are malleable materials essential in construction? Malleable materials like steel are crucial because they can be shaped into various forms, making them versatile and suitable for building structures. Prickly. Covered with small, sharp points. Spiky. Thorny. Barbed. Bristly. Have you ever touched a prickly object, and how did it feel? Yes, I once accidentally brushed against a prickly cactus. It wasn't very pleasant as the tiny spines stuck to my skin and were hard to remove. Coarse. Rough in texture or large in size. Gritty. Scratchy. Harsh. Uneven. Do you prefer coarse textures in fabrics, or do you avoid them? I generally avoid coarse fabrics for clothing because they can feel uncomfortable on the skin. I prefer softer and smoother materials instead. Pitted. Having small depressions or holes. Dimpled. Indented. Perforated. Hollowed. Can you think of an example of something pitted, and explain its purpose? Pitted olives are a good example. Removing the pit makes them easier to eat and more convenient to use in cooking or garnishing dishes. Slimy. Covered with or resembling slime, slippery and moist. Slippery. Slick. Greasy. Mucilaginous. What is your opinion of slimy textures in food? I personally dislike slimy textures in food, such as okra, but I know some people enjoy it for its unique mouthfeel and culinary versatility. Squishy. Soft and easy to press or squeeze. Spongy. Mushy. Compressible. Cushy. Have you ever played with something squishy, and how was the experience? Yes, playing with squishy stress balls is always fun. They're oddly satisfying to squeeze and help release tension during stressful moments. Gauzy. Thin and translucent, like gauze. Sheer. Filmy. Diaphanous. Transparent. How would you describe a gauzy fabric you've seen or used? I once saw a gauzy curtain in a boutique. Its translucent quality let in soft, diffused light, creating a very serene and beautiful ambience. Gossamer. Extremely delicate, light, and fine. Ethereal. Flimsy. Airy. Fragile. Why is gossamer often associated with beauty? Gossamer textures, like a spider's web glistening in the morning dew, are associated with beauty because of their delicate and intricate appearance. Ethereal. Extremely delicate, light, and almost heavenly. Airy. Delicate. Heavenly. Otherworldly. How would you describe something ethereal you have seen or experienced? I once witnessed an ethereal sunrise over the mountains. The soft light and gentle mist created a scene that felt almost unworldly in its beauty. To charbroil. To cook over an open flame or on a grill with high heat. Grill. Broil. Sear. Roast. Can you share a memorable experience of eating something charbroiled? I once had a charbroiled steak at a barbecue party. The smoky flavor and the crispy texture on the outside made it an unforgettable meal. To nuke. To cook or heat food quickly using a microwave. Microwave. Heat. Zap. Radiate. Do you think microwaving food is convenient? Absolutely, microwaving or nuking food is incredibly convenient for busy days. It saves time and allows me to enjoy a hot meal without much effort. To pop. To cook or prepare something until it bursts or expands. Crack. Explode. Burst. Inflate. What is your favorite treat that pops during preparation? Popcorn is my favorite treat that pops while cooking. The process of watching the kernels burst into fluffy pieces is always fun and satisfying. To spatchcock. To prepare a bird by splitting it open and flattening it for cooking. Butterfly. Flatten. Split. Splay. Have you ever seen or tasted a spatchcock dish, and how was it? Yes, I once had spatchcock chicken at a dinner party. The even cooking and crisp skin made it a delight to eat, and the presentation was impressive. To zap. To heat or cook something quickly, often in a microwave. Microwave. Heat quickly. Warm. Nuke. What are your thoughts on zapping leftovers? Zapping leftovers is very practical, especially for busy mornings. It's efficient and ensures I can enjoy a warm meal without taking much time. To baste. To pour or brush liquid over food while cooking to keep it moist. Moisten. Drizzle. Glaze. Coat. Do you think basting is an important cooking technique? Definitely. Basting meat or baked goods keeps them moist and enhances the flavor, making the final dish much more delicious and appealing. To blanch. To briefly boil food and then immerse it in cold water to stop cooking. Parboil. Boil briefly. Pre-cook. Scald. Why is blanching a common technique in cooking? Blanching is useful because it helps retain the color and texture of vegetables, and it can also make peeling fruits like tomatoes easier. To scald. To heat a liquid until just below boiling or to burn with hot liquid. Heat. Burn. Boil slightly. Parboil. Can you think of a situation where scalding is necessary in food preparation? Scalding milk is necessary for certain recipes like custards or bread, as it improves texture and flavor while also killing off bacteria. To deglaze. To remove and dissolve brown bits of food from a pan by adding liquid. Scrape. Dissolve. Degrease. Deglaze. What is the benefit of deglazing a pan after cooking? Deglazing helps create a rich and flavorful sauce by incorporating the brown bits stuck to the pan, which enhances the dish's overall taste. To aerate. To introduce air into a substance, such as flour or soil. Whisk. Sift. Leaven. Fluff. Why do bakers often aerate ingredients like flour? Aerating flour makes it lighter and ensures even mixing, which is essential for creating fluffy and well-risen baked goods like cakes and bread. To dredge. To coat food lightly with a dry ingredient, usually flour or breadcrumbs. Sprinkle. Dust. Coat. Dip. What types of food are typically dredged before cooking, and why? Foods like chicken or fish are often dredged in flour to create a crispy coating, which helps retain moisture during cooking. To knead. To work dough by pressing, folding, and stretching it. Work. Massage. Fold. Manipulate. Why is kneading dough an important step in bread making? Kneading develops the gluten in the dough, which gives the bread its structure and elasticity, resulting in a soft and chewy texture. To char grill. To cook food on a grill over an open flame. Grill. Broil. Sear. Roast. How does char grilling enhance the flavor of food? Char grilling imparts a smoky, caramelized flavor to food, which adds depth and enhances the overall taste, particularly for meats and vegetables. To parboil. To partially cook food by boiling, usually to prepare it for further cooking. Pre-cook. Blanch. Boil briefly. Simmer. Why is parboiling used as a cooking technique? Parboiling is often used for foods like potatoes to speed up the cooking process and to ensure even doneness when roasting or frying. To sauté. To cook food quickly in a small amount of fat over medium-high heat. Fry lightly. Stir fry. Pan fry. Toss in oil. Can you describe a dish where sautéing is an important step? Sautéing vegetables for pasta is essential because it brings out their flavors and gives the dish a fresh and aromatic taste. To broil. To cook food using direct heat, usually in an oven or over an open flame. Grill. Roast. Char grill. Sear. What is your favorite food that's broiled? I love broiled salmon. The high heat gives it a nice, slightly crispy top layer while keeping the inside tender and flavorful. To thaw. To defrost frozen food by warming it gently. Defrost. Warm. Melt. Soften. How do you typically thaw frozen food, and why? I usually thaw frozen food in the refrigerator overnight because it's a safe method that prevents bacteria from growing during the process. To braise. To cook food slowly in a small amount of liquid in a covered dish. Stew. Simmer. Slow cook. Poach. What do you think makes braising a unique cooking method? Braising is unique because it allows tough cuts of meat to become tender and absorb the flavors of the sauce or broth they're cooked in. To fillet. To cut meat or fish into boneless pieces. Step 1. Slice. Skin. Trim. Do you find filleting fish difficult, and how would you improve? Filleting fish can be tricky, especially for beginners. Practice and using a sharp knife are key to getting clean, boneless pieces. To quaff. To drink something heartily or with great enjoyment. Gulp. Swig. Sip deeply. Guzzle. Can you share an occasion where you enjoyed quaffing a drink? I vividly remember quaffing a cold lemonade on a scorching summer day. The refreshing taste made it an incredibly satisfying experience. To imbibe. To drink, especially referring to alcohol or knowledge. Drink in. Absorb. Consume. Ingest. Why do you think people use the word imbibe in a metaphorical sense? People often use imbibe metaphorically to describe absorbing knowledge, as it gives a sense of deeply taking in information, much like drinking. To chug. To drink something quickly and in large gulps. Swallow. Gulp. Down. Slurp. Have you ever participated in a social activity where chugging a drink was common? Yes, I've seen people chugging drinks in friendly competitions during parties. It adds a fun and energetic vibe to such gatherings. To partake. To consume or share in something, often in a communal sense. Share. Participate. Indulge. Join. Do you enjoy partaking in meals or celebrations with others? Absolutely, partaking in family dinners during festivals is something I cherish. It brings everyone closer together and creates wonderful memories. To tuck in. To begin eating something with enthusiasm. Devour. Dig in. Feast on. Munch on. Can you recall a moment when you tucked into a delicious meal after being really hungry? Yes, after a long hike, I tucked into a hearty bowl of pasta, and the experience was pure bliss because of how satisfying and flavorful it was. To wolf. To eat quickly and greedily. Devour. Gobble. Scarf down. Inhale. Can you recall a situation when you wolfed down a meal? After an intense workout, I once wolfed down a plate of spaghetti. I was so famished that I hardly paused to taste it, though it was delicious. To chomp. To chew something noisily or with enthusiasm. Munch. Gnaw. Bite. Nibble. How would you describe the experience of chomping on a crunchy snack? Chomping on fresh, crisp apples is always satisfying. The crunchiness and juiciness combine to create a truly refreshing experience. To swig. To drink something in large gulps. Gulp. Guzzle. Sip deeply. Quaff. What kind of drink do you think is best enjoyed with a hearty swig? I think a swig of ice-cold water is the most refreshing, especially after spending hours under the sun. It's both revitalizing and satisfying. To gorge. To eat until completely full or to excess. Stuff. feast, devour, overeat. Have you ever gorged yourself at a celebration, and how did it feel? Yes, during a festive buffet, I gorged on a variety of dishes. While everything was delicious, I felt uncomfortably full afterward and learned to pace myself. To lap up. To enjoy or consume something eagerly. Slurp. Sip. Savor. Relish. Is there anything you lap up during special occasions? I always lap up hot chocolate during winter celebrations. It's so warm, comforting, and enjoyable, especially with a topping of whipped cream. To nosh. To eat food, especially snacks, often casually. Snack. Nibble. Graze. Bite. What do you like to nosh on when you're watching a movie? I usually nosh on popcorn while watching movies. It's light, tasty, and easy to munch on, making it the perfect movie snack. To crunch. To crush something noisily with the teeth. Bite down on. Munch. Chew. Grind. Can you describe your favorite crunchy food and why you enjoy it? I really enjoy crunchy granola bars. They have the perfect blend of texture and flavor, and the sound of crunching makes them even more satisfying. Foul. Having an unpleasant taste, smell, or character. Noxious. Disgusting. Vile. Repugnant. Can you think of a time when you encountered something foul? Yes, I remember walking past a dumpster on a hot summer day. The foul odor was overwhelming, and I had to cover my nose to escape the stench. Putrid. Decayed and emitting a strong, unpleasant smell. Rotten. Decomposed. Foul-smelling. Rank. Have you ever come across something putrid, and how did you react? I once forgot leftovers in the fridge for weeks, and when I opened the container, the putrid smell was unbearable. I had to throw it out immediately. Rancid. Having a strong, unpleasant odor or taste due to spoilage. Stale. Sour. Rotten. Musty. What's your approach to handling rancid food? I always check expiration dates and keep food properly stored to avoid rancid smells. If anything turns rancid, I dispose of it immediately. Offensive. Causing someone to feel upset, resentful, or annoyed. Insulting. Displeasing. Irritating. Objectionable. How do you handle offensive remarks in social settings? I try to stay calm and address the offensive remark politely but assertively, ensuring the conversation remains respectful and constructive. Dainty. Delicately small, pretty, or refined. Elegant. Graceful. Delicate. Refined. Can you describe something dainty you've owned or admired? I once received a dainty bracelet as a gift. Its intricate design and delicate appearance made it one of my most cherished possessions. Unpalatable. Not pleasant to taste or accept. Unappetizing. Unsavory. Tasteless. Disagreeable. Have you ever tried something unpalatable, and what was your reaction? I tried a dish with too much bitterness once, and it was quite unpalatable. I politely declined to finish it but appreciated the effort behind it. Savory. Pleasantly salty or spicy, not sweet. Appetizing. Flavorful. Tasty. Delectable. What is your favorite savory dish and why? My favorite savory dish is pizza. The blend of flavors from the sauce, cheese, and toppings makes it a truly enjoyable and versatile meal. Acrid. Having a strong, sharp, unpleasant smell or taste. Harsh. Bitter. Caustic. Sour. Have you ever smelled something acrid, and how did it affect you? Yes, during a campfire, I smelled acrid smoke when the firewood got damp. It irritated my eyes and throat, making it difficult to stay nearby. Cloying. Overly sweet or sentimental to the point of being unpleasant. Sickly sweet. Overpowering. Excessive. Syrupy. What is your opinion about cloying fragrances? Cloying fragrances can be quite overwhelming. I prefer subtle scents that don't linger too strongly or invade the surrounding space. Pungent. Having a sharp, strong smell or taste. Spicy. Sharp. Tangy. Strong. Can you share an experience where you encountered a pungent food or spice? I once tried wasabi, which has a very pungent taste. It was intense and cleared my sinuses instantly, but I found it surprisingly enjoyable. Sulfurous. Smelling of sulfur or something similar, often unpleasant. Rotten. Acrid. Stinky. Harsh. Have you ever been near a place with a sulfurous smell? Yes, when visiting a hot spring, the water emitted a sulfurous odor. Although it was strong, it added to the unique experience of being there. Fragrant. Having a pleasant, sweet smell. Aromatic. Perfumed. Scented. Sweet smelling. Can you describe a fragrant place that you visited? I once visited a lavender field. The entire area was fragrant with the calming and refreshing scent of lavender flowers, which felt magical. Odorous. Having a smell, often unpleasant. Smelly. Malodorous. Stinking. Aromatic. How do you deal with odorous items in your living space? I make sure to clean regularly and use air fresheners or natural remedies like baking soda to neutralize odorous smells in my home. Tangy. Having a sharp, zesty flavor or smell. Zesty. Pungent. Citrusy. Sharp. What is your favorite tangy food or drink, and why? My favorite tangy food is a freshly squeezed lemonade. The balance of sharp tanginess and subtle sweetness makes it incredibly refreshing. Zesty. Having a strong, pleasant, or lively flavor or character. Flavorful. Tangy. Spicy. Sharp. Can you think of a dish that is described as zesty, and how does it stand out? Tacos with a zesty lime dressing stand out for me. The lime adds a burst of flavor that complements the spices and fresh ingredients beautifully. Mellow. Soft, smooth, and pleasant. Gentle. Mild. Soothing. Calm. What is a mellow activity you enjoy, and how does it make you feel? I enjoy sipping a cup of mellow chamomile tea while reading a book. It helps me unwind and feel calm after a hectic day. Ethereal. Extremely delicate, light, and almost heavenly. Airy. Delicate. Heavenly. Otherworldly. Can you share a moment where you experienced something ethereal? I once watched a sunrise from a mountaintop. The soft hues and the tranquil atmosphere made the moment feel ethereal and unforgettable. Floral. Having the scent or appearance of flowers. Flowery. Fragrant. Perfumed. Blooming. Can you describe a situation where you encountered a floral environment? I once visited a botanical garden filled with vibrant flowers. The floral scents in the air were enchanting and made the entire experience delightful. Gamey. Having a strong, wild taste, often associated with certain meats. Musky. Earthy. Savory. Wild. Have you ever tried gamey food, and how did you find it? I tried venison once, which had a gamey flavor. It was quite distinct and rich, and I found it interesting though not for everyday meals. Spicy. Containing or seasoned with spices, often causing a burning sensation. Hot. Pungent. Zesty. Peppery. Do you enjoy eating spicy dishes, and why or why not? I love spicy dishes like curries because the heat enhances the flavors and adds a thrilling kick to the meal. Vinegary. Tasting or smelling strongly of vinegar. Acidic. Sharp. Pungent. Sour. How do you feel about vinegary flavors in food? I enjoy vinegary flavors in pickles and salads because they add a tangy sharpness that balances the richness of other ingredients. Peppery. Having the sharp, pungent flavor or smell of pepper. Hot. Spiced. Sharp. Piquant. What's your favorite dish with a peppery flavor? My favorite dish with a peppery flavor is steak au poivre. The cracked peppercorns add a bold, spicy kick that complements the juicy steak. Delectable. Extremely delicious or appealing to the senses. Tasty. Appetizing. Mouth-watering. Savory. Can you recall the most delectable meal you've ever had? I once had a 3-course meal at a fine dining restaurant, and every dish was delectable, with flavors and presentation that were out of this world. Heady. Intensely intoxicating or exhilarating. Potent. Strong. Overpowering. Fragrant. Can you think of an experience where you encountered a heady aroma? I remember walking into a spice market where the heady scent of exotic spices like cinnamon and cloves was overwhelming yet fascinating. Resinous. Having a sticky or thick consistency, often with a strong smell resembling resin. Sticky. Gummy. Viscous. Pitchy. Have you ever encountered something with a resinous texture or scent? Yes, I remember handling fresh pine cones during a hike. They had a resinous texture and an earthy, woody scent that felt very natural. Flavorsome. Full of flavor, rich and tasty. Tasty. Savory. Appetizing. Delectable. What is your favorite flavorsome dish, and why do you enjoy it? My favorite flavorsome dish is a well-spiced curry. The richness of the flavors and the aroma make it incredibly satisfying and enjoyable. Robust. Strong and full-bodied, particularly in flavor or character. Vigorous. Potent. Rich. Full-bodied. Have you ever tasted a drink with a robust flavor? Yes, I once had a cup of robust black coffee. Its bold, full-bodied flavor was invigorating and gave me the energy to start my day. Zingy. Fresh and exciting, with a sharp and tangy flavor. Tangy. Zesty. Spicy. Sharp. Can you describe a zingy dish you've recently tried? I recently tried a zingy lime-based dessert. The sharpness of the lime combined with the sweetness created a refreshingly vibrant flavor. Aromatic. Having a pleasant and strong smell. Fragrant. Perfumed. Scented. Odorous. Can you recall an aromatic environment you've enjoyed? I once entered a bakery where the aromatic smell of freshly baked bread and pastries filled the air. It was both inviting and comforting. Succulent. Juicy, tender, and flavorful. Moist. Luscious. Juicy. Tender. What is your favorite succulent fruit, and why? My favorite succulent fruit is watermelon. Its juicy texture and refreshing sweetness make it perfect for hot summer days. Dank. Unpleasantly damp and musty. Damp. Humid. Moist. Moldy. Have you ever been in a place that felt dank, and how did it affect you? Yes, I visited an old cellar once, and it had a dank atmosphere. The musty smell and dampness made it feel unwelcoming and eerie. Luscious. Richly appealing to the senses, especially in taste or smell. Delicious. Juicy. Appetizing. Flavorful. Can you describe a moment when you tasted something luscious? I once had a luscious slice of mango. Its rich, juicy sweetness made it an unforgettable treat, especially on a hot summer afternoon. Sharp. Having a strong, intense, or piercing taste, smell, or effect. Pungent. Tart. Tangy. Harsh. What is your favorite food with a sharp flavor? My favorite sharp food is aged cheddar cheese. Its tangy, bold flavor provides a wonderful contrast when paired with crackers or fruits. Smoky. Having the flavor or smell of smoke, often associated with grilling. Charred. Burnt. Woody. Roasted. How do you feel about smoky flavors in food? I really enjoy smoky flavors, especially in grilled meats like barbecue. They add a depth of flavor that is both rich and satisfying. Sour. Having an acidic, tangy taste that can be sharp or unpleasant. Tart. Acidic. Pungent. Bitter. Have you ever tried something sour, and what was your reaction? Yes, I once tried a sour candy. The tanginess was so intense it made my face pucker, but I found it quite exciting and fun to eat. Sweet. Having a sugary flavor or pleasing taste. Sugary. Honeyed. Saccharine. Pleasant. What is a sweet dish that you enjoy, and why? My favorite sweet dish is chocolate cake. The rich, sugary flavor combined with a soft texture makes it irresistible and comforting. Tart. Having a sharp, acidic taste. Sour. Tangy. Bitter. Zesty. Can you describe a tart dish you have enjoyed recently? Yes, I recently had a slice of lemon tart. Its sharp, tangy flavor was beautifully balanced with a sweet crust, making it truly delightful. Unctuous. Oily or excessively smooth in texture or manner. Greasy. Silky. Slick. Rich. Have you ever tasted something unctuous, and how did you feel about it? I once tried a creamy carbonara pasta that was quite unctuous. While it was rich and indulgent, it felt a bit overwhelming after a few bites. Peaty. Having an earthy, mossy smell or taste often associated with whiskey. Earthy. Mossy. Smoky. Woody. How would you describe a drink with a peaty flavor? A peaty single malt whiskey has a distinctive earthy and smoky flavor, which adds complexity and is particularly appreciated by whiskey enthusiasts. Earthy. Reminiscent of the smell or taste of earth or soil. Rustic. Natural. Soil-like. Robust. What comes to mind when you hear the term earthy flavors? For me, earthy flavors bring to mind mushrooms or beets. They have a grounded, natural taste that pairs well with hearty dishes like stews or roasts. Citrusy. Having the flavor or fragrance of citrus fruits. Lemony. Zesty. Tangy. Orangey. What is your favorite citrusy food or drink, and why? I love a refreshing citrusy orange juice in the morning. Its tangy sweetness gives me a burst of energy to start the day. Burnt. Having the flavor or smell of something overcooked or charred. Charred. Scorched. Toasted. Smoky. Have you ever enjoyed a dish with a deliberately burnt flavor? Yes, burnt caramel in desserts like crème brûlée has a smoky sweetness that adds depth and a unique contrast to the creamy base. Nutty. Having a taste or smell similar to nuts. Toasty. Rich. Woody. Buttery. What is your favorite nutty food, and how do you enjoy it? My favorite nutty food is peanut butter. Its rich and toasty flavor makes it perfect on toast or blended into smoothies for extra depth. Brackish. Slightly salty, often referring to water with a mix of salt and fresh qualities. Salty. Saline. Briny. Brackish water. Have you ever tasted brackish water, and how would you describe the experience? Yes, I once tasted brackish water while kayaking in an estuary. It had a mildly salty taste that was quite unique compared to fresh water. Honeyed. Sweet, resembling the taste or texture of honey. Sugary. Syrupy. Luscious. Sweetened. Can you describe a dish with a honeyed flavor that you enjoy? I love honeyed baklava. The sweetness of the honey-soaked layers of pastry and nuts is absolutely irresistible. Caramelized. Having a rich, sweet flavor from the browning of sugar. Toasted. Burnt sweet. Glazed. Browned. What is your opinion of caramelized toppings or sauces in food? I find caramelized onions or toppings delicious. The sweetness and depth of flavor they add can completely elevate a dish. Umami. A savory taste, often described as the fifth basic flavor. Savory. Meaty. Rich. Full-flavored. Can you give an example of a dish with a strong umami taste? A great example is a bowl of ramen with soy sauce, mushrooms, and seaweed. The umami flavor is deep, satisfying, and packed with richness. Insipid. Lacking in flavor, taste, or character. Bland. Tasteless. Weak. Flat. How do you improve an insipid dish to make it more appealing? Adding seasoning like herbs, spices, or a pinch of salt can transform an insipid dish, enhancing its flavors and making it more enjoyable. Briny. Strongly salty, like seawater. Salty. Pickled. Saline. Preserved. What is your favorite briny food, and why do you like it? My favorite briny food is olives. Their intense salty flavor makes them a fantastic addition to salads or enjoyed as a snack. Bland. Lacking strong flavor or characteristics. tasteless, plain, mild, insipid. Do you think bland food is appealing to some people? Yes, some people prefer bland food as it can be gentle on the stomach or allow other ingredients to shine without overwhelming the palate. Piquant. Having a pleasantly sharp or spicy taste. Spicy. Tangy. Zesty. Sharp. Can you describe a piquant dish that you have enjoyed? I recently had a piquant salsa that paired perfectly with tortilla chips. The combination of sharp, tangy, and spicy flavors was incredibly satisfying. Astringent. Causing a tightening sensation, often sharp or bitter in taste. Tart. Bitter. Pungent. Sharp. Have you ever tasted something astringent, and how did it feel? Yes, I once had a sip of astringent green tea. Its sharp and dry taste left a distinctive sensation in my mouth, which I found intriguing. Nectarous. Extremely sweet and pleasant, like nectar. Luscious. Honeyed. Sugary. Sweet. Can you describe a nectarous fruit you enjoy? Mangoes are my favorite nectarous fruit. Their natural sweetness and juicy texture make them irresistibly delightful during summer. Fetid. Having a strong, unpleasant smell. Foul. Malodorous. Smelly. Rank. Have you ever been in a place with a fetid smell, and how did you handle it? Yes, I visited a garbage dump once, and the fetid odor was overwhelming. I covered my nose to endure the visit. Skunky. Having an offensive and musky smell, reminiscent of a skunk. Pungent. Sharp. Stinky. Strong. Can you recall encountering a skunky odor, and what was your reaction? I once opened a bottle of spoiled milk, and its skunky odor was unbearable. I quickly disposed of it and aired out the kitchen. Odoriferous. Having or emitting a strong smell, not necessarily unpleasant. Aromatic. Scented. Fragrant. Redolent. What do you associate with odoriferous environments? I associate odoriferous environments with spice markets, where the air is filled with an array of strong and aromatic smells, creating a rich atmosphere. Ambrosial. Exceptionally pleasing to taste or smell, often divine. Heavenly. Delicious. Fragrant. Ethereal. Can you think of an ambrosial dish that left a strong impression on you? I once tasted a freshly baked apple pie. Its ambrosial combination of sweet apples and buttery crust was unforgettable. Musty. Having a stale, damp smell. Moldy. Stale. Damp. Mildewed. Have you ever encountered a musty smell, and how did it make you feel? I once stepped into an old library with musty-smelling books. While the odor was unpleasant at first, it added to the nostalgic charm of the place. Musky. Having a rich, earthy smell, often deep and warm. Earthy. Woody. Pungent. Intense. How would you describe musky fragrances, and do you like them? I find musky fragrances comforting and sophisticated. They have a warm, earthy quality that makes them perfect for perfumes or colognes. Redolent. Having a strong, pleasant smell. Fragrant. Aromatic. Scented. Perfumed. Can you share a moment when you experienced a redolent environment? I remember visiting a rose garden filled with redolent blooms. The pleasant and sweet aroma created a calming and serene atmosphere. Malodorous. Smelling very unpleasant. Foul. Stinky. Rank. Pungent. Have you ever come across a malodorous item, and how did you deal with it? Yes, I once found a malodorous pair of wet shoes left in a corner. I cleaned and dried them outdoors to eliminate the unpleasant smell. Rank. Having a strong, offensive smell or taste. Foul. Fetid. Pungent. Rotten. What is your reaction when you encounter something rank? I try to avoid rank smells by leaving the area or addressing the source immediately, as it can be quite unpleasant and overwhelming.